Hi, it's Jane from KF Accounting. So this morning I'm going to be looking at an area which causes a bit of confusion, certainly in my clients anyway, which is to do with the annual accounts and the annual confirmation statement. And also who has to do what applies to limited companies, what applies to sole traders, what are the differences. So let's start with the easy one, which is the account side of things. Now, both sole traders and limited companies have to produce accounts each year. And these accounts get filed as part of the tax return, the corporation tax return for limited companies or the self-assessment for sole traders. But there's a few differences between the sole traders and limited company accounts. So the first difference is that the limited company accounts also get filed with Companies House as well as HMRC. And they're publicly visible, where the sole trader accounts are just private. Now, the small businesses, you can restrict what the public can see. So you can file what's called filleted accounts, which don't have the profit and loss side of things. And you can also file an abridged balance sheet. So you can restrict what's shown, but there will be something in the public domain for a limited company. And the other difference is in terms of the standards that the accounts have to be prepared to. So for a sole trader, the standard accounting principles are used, which means that the idea is you can compare one set of business accounts with another. But for limited companies, it's a lot stricter. There are financial reporting standards that have to be used that really dictate a lot about how the accounts are presented, what's disclosed, what's shown. And these are financial reporting standards 102 for small companies and 105 for micro entities. And they really mean that every limited company's accounts are going to look very similar. There's no leeway in how they're presented. So what about the deadlines then? Well, for a sole trader, it's always 31st of January. So the tax year ends on the 5th of April. And then the tax is due, and the corporation tax must be filed and the corporation tax paid by the 31st of January next year. For a limited company, the Companies House filing deadline is 9 months. So the company year end is always the end of a month. So if the year end is 31st of December, the accounts are filed with Companies House by the 30th of September, and there's a fine of £150 if this isn't done. Corporation tax is a bit of a strange one because the tax payment deadline is 9 months and 1 day, but the filing deadline is actually a year. So most people just tend to go with the 9-month deadline for company accounts and file everything at 9 months. Now, both self-assessment and corporation tax start with a fine of £100 if the deadline is missed, and then it goes up from there. So that's the account side of things, but what about the annual confirmation statement? What's that all about? Well, this is something that sole traders don't have to do. There's no sole trader equivalent for an annual confirmation statement, because what it's all about is it lets the limited company confirm their details with Companies House. It's just a way for Companies House to check that nothing's changed with the company during the year and that it's still active. So whereas the accounts can take quite a long time to produce, the annual confirmation statement is actually quite quick. It's done online, and it might only take 15 minutes to do. But it is actually very important because if the annual confirmation statement is missed, then not only can there be a fine, I think the reminder letter says fines of up to £5,000, although I have to say we've never had anybody with a fine. But what does happen is the Companies House will start the process of striking the company off if you don't meet your confirmation statement deadline. So then what will happen is suddenly you won't have access to the company bank account. Basically, they will start to close the company down. So the deadline, you have a 2-week window to file the confirmation statement. And this is not at the year end like the annual accounts. It's on the anniversary of the date that you formed the company. So it might not be the month end. And then you only have 2 weeks to file the statement. So it's really important to keep an eye out and make sure that that's done if you have a limited company. So where can you find all these deadlines? Well, all your company deadlines with Companies House should be on the Companies House website. And HMRC normally sends out reminders for self-assessment and for corporation tax. And you should be able to see your deadlines there on the government gateway. So just to summarise, both limited companies and sole traders have to do annual accounts, but limited companies file with Companies House and HMRC, and their accounts are a lot more prescribed in the format that they have to use, and they're publicly visible. Sole trader accounts only go into the tax return, and they're not visible publicly. And then limited companies also have an annual confirmation statement, which is something that sole traders don't have to do. And this is just a way of confirming their details with Companies House each year. But it's very important to get it done. So I hope that's cleared up some of the confusion. And there are lots and lots of links in this article. So have a look at the text on the blog. And click through to some of the pages that will give you more detail. Thank you very much, and see you next time.